In today's webinar, we're going to be doing a few things to look at the software, kind of give a tutorial, and then answer some questions. So I'm going to start us off by just sharing my screen. And then if you guys can make sure, tell me if you're able to see what I see.
I do see that.
Perfect, great. So if you have any questions about PERRLA, you can always find our website at www.perrla.com. We've got a lot of information there, a help center, a number of other things that can help point you in the right direction after our webinar today. So like I said,
let me just point out that I've got chat available for people to chat to me.
Yes.
So if anybody has a question during this, we ask people in advance for questions, and we've got those listed, and we'll address all those. But if somebody else has something that they want to type to me during this, just open the chat window and type. You'll only be able to type to me, but we can do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Let us know. So in today's webinar, we're going to cover first, what is PERRLA? Second, how do I write a paper using PERRLA? 3, how do I find additional help? And then 4, we're going to be going over some of our pre-filled questions and then any questions that you guys may submit. At any point after this webinar, if you need help, we have a customer support team that's available. You can email them at support@perrla.com. They work every day until 10 p.m. And would love to help you out. So with that, let's get started. So what is PERRLA? PERRLA is the most comprehensive and accurate APA and MLA formatting software available. We have been doing it for a long time. We have helped millions of students, and we handle everything in your paper. So while there are other tools that will give you a reference or a citation, PERRLA is going to handle the formatting for your paper from the title page all the way through the reference section. We do references, citations, page layout and format, text styles and headings, paper elements like abstracts, tables of content, figures, and tables, and all the other little small things that make writing APA and MLA papers a real pain. Now, PERRLA is an annual subscription, and when you subscribe to PERRLA, you get both PERRLA for Word, which is our Microsoft Word add-in, and PERRLA Online, which is an online web editor, kind of like Google Docs. So although you'll hear us say PERRLA, you have 2 ways that you can actually use PERRLA. You can use it with Word, which lots of people really love Microsoft Word and are used to using it, or you can use our online web editor where you can access your papers from anywhere. Now, just in case you haven't used PERRLA before or you are interested in it, we do offer a free trial and subscription at perrla.com. So with that, let's actually dive in and see how this works. We're going to start off by looking at PERRLA for Word, and then we're going to go and look at PERRLA Online. Now, one of the things you need to know is that the interface for PERRLA for Word and PERRLA Online are really, really similar. And so pretty much all the things that we're going to be covering today in PERRLA for Word also apply to our editor in PERRLA Online. And then we'll show you the small differences in PERRLA Online that exist between them. So to get started with PERRLA for Word, you're going to start by inserting PERRLA through the Microsoft Word add-in store. So we're going to go to the Insert ribbon, and then we're going to go Get Add-ins. This is kind of like an app store, except for Word. So we're just going to search for PERRLA, press Enter, and then right here, we're going to click Add and Continue. That's it. PERRLA has been installed into Word, and it's been all set up automatically for us. And we're going to get this little pop-up, and we're going to see that PERRLA is going to get its very own ribbon tab across the top. So I got it, and I'm going to come into the PERRLA ribbon tab. This is going to give us access to all of the tools that we need to write a successful APA or MLA paper. Now, the first thing that we need to do is actually create our paper. So we're going to go to the very first icon for New Paper. We're going to click it, and then we're going to choose the type of paper that we want to create. APA 7th edition gives you options for multiple types of papers, but whether you're writing APA 7, APA 6, or MLA 8, we're going to always give you at least 2. One is a research paper, which is your traditional essay with title page, body, and reference section, or a discussion post, which is just the body and the references on a single page. So that way you can copy and paste it into your school's online forum really easily. We're going to create a research paper, and we're going to do it for APA 7. So I'm going to click that, and that's going to open up the PERRLA side panel. So this is the second part of the PERRLA interface. The first part is the ribbon tab across the top, and then the second is our side panel. Here, we're able to create two different types of APA 7 research paper because APA 7 gives us two types of research paper, student and professional. We're going to make a student because that's what most of our users actually do. And we're going to call this Sasquatch, the Truth Revealed. We love to write about Sasquatch around here.
We do.
Revealed. There we go. Perfect. Author, Serena Sparkle. She's our unofficial mascot. PERRLA University. I can also put a course number in here. It's Cryptozoology 101 and Dr. Batson. And this is going to actually be due tomorrow. We want to try to be a little realistic here. Now I can click Create Research Paper. This is going to take, and it's going to create a brand new Word document for me with all of the correct formatting for an APA 7 student research paper. We have our heading set up across the top with just the page number. There's no running head because they removed that in the 7th edition. We also have our title and our title page information set up properly for the APA 7. And we have the first page of our body where we have the title again and a space where we can start typing the body of our paper. That's it. Really, within seconds, PERRLA has taken and gone through all of the pain of setting up our margins, our fonts, our formatting, our styles, everything, so that when we're ready to start working, we can just dive into it. Now, as you may notice, this is a second separate Word document. That's just one of the quirks of how Microsoft Word forces us to work. So we're going to close our empty document back here and go back to our new one. Great. Now, when I'm writing a paper with PERRLA, the first thing that I like to do is add my references to the paper. Now, you can work in whatever order you want. You can add the references while you're writing. You can add them as you need them. But I like to do it at the very beginning. So I'm going to go up to the PERRLA ribbon tab, and I'm going to click References and Citations. This is going to open up, again, the PERRLA side panel for References and Citations. And this is where I can create or add the references that I've created with PERRLA before. Now, if I'm creating a new reference, PERRLA is going to give me the options to create every single type of APA reference possible. So whether it's an advertisement, an anthology, a grant, dissertation, book, journal, data set, lecture, bill, blog, we've got them all. But if you're going to create one of the most common reference types, so a book, a journal article, or a website, you're able to search for those references using a DOI, ISBN, author, and title, or a URL. We're actually going to show you how this works by searching for a journal article that I have open right here. This wonderful article in the Oryx Journal by Richard Fritter called Nessie and Sasquatch. And I've got a DOI for it. So I'm just going to copy in our DOI. I can highlight correctly. Oh, that works. Yes, there it is. Hang on. Okay, we're going to copy the whole thing, and then I'll just move it over. All right, and I'm going to paste it into the lookup a reference. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the beginning here and just remove the first bit. So I've entered in our DOI. I can enter this in as the URL like we have, or if we just have the DOI number, that's going to work either way. So I can put in here a DOI like this. If I have a book, I can put in its ISBN number, or I can search for an author and title, or I could even put in just a URL for a web page. I'm going to click search. Now what PERRLA is going to do is it's going to go out and it's going to check a number of large online databases that hold all of the publication information for millions and millions and millions of references. And it's going to see if it can find a match. In this case, because it used a DOI, in which case a URL or an ISBN is similar, there's only one result. And so it's going to take and grab that information and pre-populate it into the reference wizard for us so that we're able to go ahead and see all of the publication's information added to the PERRLA reference wizard for us. So we've got our author, Richard Fritter. We have our article title, Nessie and the Sasquatch, journal name, Oryx, the publication year, volume, issue number, the page numbers, and our DOI, already filled in for us without us having to do a thing. As part of the PERRLA reference wizard, it's going to give us a live preview of what our reference is going to look like when it gets added to the paper. Now, before we finish creating our reference, I'm going to point out that we don't actually have a reference page created in our paper yet, because APA requires that if you don't have any references, you don't have a reference page. So once we create our very first reference and it gets added to our paper, clicking create, PERRLA is going to create the reference page for us automatically, and it's going to add our reference to the reference section by default. And it's going to be properly formatted, just like everything. Now, once I've created this reference, it's actually going to be added to my paper as well as my own PERRLA reference library, so that if I need to reuse this reference again in the future, I can easily access it. So let's go to Add Reference from Library, and you're going to be able to see all of the references that I've ever made using PERRLA. Let's search for Bigfoot. And I'm going to see all of the references that actually have Bigfoot in their title. Let's say I want to add this bomb article right here. I can click Add to Paper, and PERRLA is going to add it to my paper and stick it in the exact right spot. Now let's add this Billsley journal article or book here that has a DOI. What do you know? PERRLA is going to add it to our paper, and it's going to keep everything alphabetized just as it should. No matter how many references you're adding to your paper, PERRLA is going to add them for you and keep your reference section organized in the proper alphabetical order for APA. Once I'm done with that, I'm going to click Finished. Great. 3 references is a pretty decent place to start. And so now what we're going to do is we're actually going to paste in a little bit of text into the body. I've got some dummy text here already set up for us. That way it's nice and easy, and paste. Actually, I'm going to paste and match formatting. This is something that we like to always do whenever you're pasting into Word, is we're going to go paste, paste, and match formatting. Perfect. That's going to allow Word to automatically use the APA formatting that we already have set up for our text for us. And so all of this is going to follow the APA paragraph style. So although this was not indented, it wasn't double spaced, because PERRLA has those APA styles already pre-built into the document for us, when we paste and match styling, it's going to follow and fit right into the APA as it should. All right, now that we have references and we have a little body text in our paper, we need to create citations. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, you know what, the plural nouns Bigfoots and Big Feet are both in use. We need to create a citation for this sentence, because that's not something I found or created. It's not something I created. It's something I found in a reference. And we're going to say that this is actually something that we found in our Billsley reference. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place my cursor where I want the citation to appear, and then I'm going to click Add Citation underneath the reference in PERRLA. That's going to open up our citation creation panel. It's going to give us a live preview of our citation, so what it'll look like when we add it to our paper. It's going to give us some options for what we want to include in our citation. So if, for instance, the sentence read, according to Billsley, the plural nouns Bigfoots and Big Feet are both in use, well, that means we can leave the author's name out of the citation. So we would just uncheck contributor's name, and it's going to leave Billsley out of the citation. We also know that we have a page number, or a paragraph, chapter, section, or other relevant locations. This came from page 14. I can see my live preview is updated automatically for me. This looks correct. I've got my cursor where I want the citation to appear, so I'm going to click Create Citation. PERRLA is going to go through and it's going to format my citation for me perfectly and insert it exactly where my cursor was. Now, if this was a reference that had a group author with an abbreviation, like the APA, PERRLA knows that the APA requires a different citation for the first time you use it and all of the other times. So the very first citation would have the full American Psychological Association and then APA in brackets, but all of the subsequent citations would just say APA. Well, because PERRLA is doing this for you, we actually are able to track where your citations are and appropriately format your citations in the correct order so that they're always following the APA structure. The way that we do that is we use a feature in Word called content controls. You'll see a content control if you hover over a citation or if you hover over your references. And if you place your cursor inside of a content control, you'll see a blue or gray box around it. Essentially what this does is it's Word's way of giving us the ability to track and protect the information inside of it. So we know that this is a Billsley citation, and it's the first time that we've used the Billsley citation. and that if I make an edit to my Billsley reference using PERRLA, it can go back and find all of the citations that are attached to it and update them automatically to make sure that they are correct. Now, there's one kind of tricky thing that Word does about content controls. And the way that we like to think of it is that content controls are greedy. They like to suck up your cursor whenever possible. So if I place my cursor in the middle here, obviously I'm inside of the content control. But if I take and place my cursor right at the very edge, say we didn't have this period at the end of our citation already, and I wanted to place my cursor there, that content control is going to try to suck up my cursor. And if the cursor is inside of it, it means I'm not going to be able to type. So I can't. We do this for two reasons. One, it's one of the things that Word forces us into using so that we can track your citations. And two, it also allows us to make sure that all of the APA-specific parts of your paper are always formatted correctly so that you don't actually accidentally shoot yourself in the foot. And having done this for students for many, many years, we've seen many times where students are going down the right path and then they mistakenly make an edit and then they're going to lose points on their paper. And so this is one way that we make sure that those things where your professor is very eager to mark you down can't get changed. So to fix this, the solution is really simple. All we're going to do is we're going to press the right arrow key on our keyboard once. That's it. Now the content control has disappeared, and so I'm outside of it, so I can start typing again. That's creating citations. We can take and we can repeat this process as many times as we want. So we place our cursor where we want it. We're going to click Create Citation underneath the reference, and we'll say that folklorist, let's see, we'll say in 2015, traced. That's close enough. And so we're going to leave the date out of this one. And it's not a direct quote, so we're just going to create citation. Oh, dang it. Look at there. I did it. I had my cursor in the wrong spot. And this is actually a great thing I can show you. It placed it where my cursor was, and I moved it without thinking. I'm going to actually highlight my content control, my citation. I'm going to cut it. I'm actually going to paste it over here. And because that content control is still intact, PERRLA is going to be able to keep up with it even though I moved it. So easy fix there. All right. So that's how you can create a citation. It's how you can create a reference. It's also how you can add your existing references to your paper. And that's how PERRLA adds content into the paper for you. Now, in addition to references and citations, which are the bulk of writing an APA paper, we also do handle a number of other things for you. For instance, you can create an abstract for your paper by going to the abstract icon inside the ribbon and clicking Add an Abstract. That's it. We'll add the page right between the title and the beginning of the body for your abstract. We're going to give you a place where you can type your abstract and some keyword examples of how you'll type those in if you want it. All of this is formatted correctly and stays up to date. You could do a similar thing for table of contents in case you have a long paper with multiple headings, in which case you may want to actually add some more headings. So if you have a heading here for history, we can take and highlight that, and we can go to text and heading styles inside PERRLA and say, you know what, this is a heading 1. This is a debugger, I'm sorry. That's because I'm using the development mode. But it's going to set it to history. And it's going to set that to the proper APA heading 1 style. And so we have access to heading 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, as well as block quote, reference, annotation, and standard paragraph. Now, the last two major parts that we do inside of a paper is we'll give you the ability to insert a figure or insert a standard table for the APA. And these are two places where they can be a real pain for students, and we make it really, really simple. So that's PERRLA for Word. You're able to create your papers really quickly, create references by searching for a DOI, ISBN URL, or the author and title. Or if it's not a book, journal, or website, you can actually create all of the references manually using our reference wizard. What do you do when you're done, though? Well, this is still a completely normal Word document. I can save it, print it, copy it, put it on a thumb drive, shoot it up to the cloud, upload it to my teacher. all of the things that I would normally do with a Word document, I can do because we're living and working inside of Word. So it makes it really simple to create perfectly formatted APA papers and to do it in a way that you may be comfortable with. All right, that really is the quick overview of PERRLA for Word. Let's take and look at what's a little bit different about PERRLA Online, our internet web application.
Hey, Graysen.
Yeah.
This might be a good time to kind of touch on PERRLA for Word versus PERRLA Online. Dawn asked me about that in the chat room. So
yes, that's a great question. So although your subscription does include two ways that you can use PERRLA, either with Word or in our web editor, you get to choose how you want to use PERRLA, because we know that some people really love using Word and some people really hate using Word, or some people want the flexibility of using PERRLA Online. So PERRLA Online is accessible from any internet browser. So that means if you're at your work computer, if you're at home, if you're in the library, you can access all of your papers and all of your references and everything else, no matter where you're at. That flexibility is really important for some people. And that's one of the reasons that I actually really like PERRLA Online as a tool and use it. But we know that PERRLA for Word is something that's been around for decades and is an institution, and is also a way that people really love to write papers. And so we provide a setup inside of Word as well. One really helpful distinction between PERRLA for Word and PERRLA Online is that PERRLA Online is kind of like writing a paper with some more safety guardrails. It's a lot harder to shoot yourself in the foot or to do something where you're going to break APA formatting inside of PERRLA Online. So if you're a new student or you're really uncertain about how to write an APA paper, we recommend PERRLA Online, because it's really going to make sure that you're creating perfectly formatted papers from start to finish, and that deviating from those APA standards is really challenging. PERRLA for Word, though, is a really great application for people who need to take their papers beyond a standard APA paper. So if you're working on a dissertation, or you're working on your thesis, or a really large paper, Word may be a really great option, because you're going to have a number of extra tools and things available to you inside of those that word processing behemoth that is Microsoft Word. So if you're new to writing papers, we always recommend PERRLA Online. If you feel pretty advanced or you feel comfortable using Word, we recommend Word. Cliff, does that answer your question? Would you want to add anything to that?
No, I don't think so. I personally have used Word for like 30 years or however long it's been out. And I love Word, but PERRLA Online is actually a little more powerful. And so I'm really on the fence when it comes to recommending one over the other. You can write great papers with either one.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So with that, let's take a look at PERRLA Online and some of the features that it offers that you don't find currently in PERRLA for Word, and some of the things that it does a little differently. So whenever you log into PERRLA Online, you're going to land on your home dashboard. The first thing you're going to notice is that we've got papers front and center here for you, but we also have a number of optional tools in PERRLA Online to help you organize or keep up with some of the other stuff. Now, like I said, those are all optional and you can dive into them, and we're actually not going to look at them today because there's a lot that you can do to keep up with all the other schoolwork things that you have to do that will just slow us down. But papers are the heart and core and soul of PERRLA Online as well. Now, to start a new paper, you can either use the Start a New Paper button here, or at the top of every page, we have a Create New button. So we're going to use it, and we're just going to select Paper. Very similar to PERRLA for Word, we're going to start off with an APA 7 paper, and we have our options of whether we want to create a student research paper, a discussion post, or a professional research paper. We're going to add another, let's say the genetic variants in big feet. All right. Author, institution, we're going to say we've moved up a level to Cryptozoology 102, and then Dr. Batson is still teaching this one. Our due date, we're going to start ahead of time, so this one's due next week. And it's going to fill in a start date for us, which helps us in case you want to have a plan. And then you have some other optional information that you can create while you're creating your paper. We're going to leave all that blank, and we're just going to click Create Research Paper right here at the bottom. Now, just like PERRLA for Word, it's going to create our document for us and open it up. So we've got a title page with all of our title page information in it and our heading. And we also have the very first page of our body with the title, heading, and a place where we can start typing our paper. You're also going to notice that this has a very similar layout to PERRLA for Word. We've got our ribbon across the top with all the same icons, plus a few of the extra formatting options that you would expect with any word processor, as well as our side panel over here that by default is open to references and citations. Now, we can do all the same things in here that we did inside of our PERRLA for Word document. So I can paste in, for example, our example text. I can create new references following the exact same UI. I can add references. So we had fitter. It was fitter here. And Bigfoot. Baum and Billsley. Just like before, PERRLA is going to create our reference page, add our references in for us, and properly format them. So far, everything is working the same way. Same goes for citations. When we create a citation, we're just going to place our cursor where we want it. We're going to enter in the citation's information and click Create. And PERRLA is going to create that citation perfectly for us. Now, there's two cool features that PERRLA Online brings to the table in the writing process that you don't have access to now in PERRLA for Word. And we can find those inside the Organize tab inside of each of our papers. And these are tools for research notes and for an outline. You know, writing a paper always starts before you ever create that first document. And keeping up with the research and the things that you find in your references is the first part. And then organizing those ideas and that research into some kind of sensible structure and an outline is the second. And so in PERRLA Online, we give these extra tools available to new students so that they're able to better navigate the writing process. So because I've already added these references to my paper, they're already going to be listed underneath research notes. So let's say I found a really great quote. Fantastic. I'm going to create a research note for that when I found it. And I found it on page 4, so I'm going to go ahead and add a citation to that research note. And it's going to be added into PERRLA for me. And you may think, wow, that's cool. It keeps up with that for me. But here's where it really starts to get powerful. Because all of these are within PERRLA, they actually integrate with each other. So let's say we have our introduction, and then we're going to take and say, make an interesting point. And then I'm going to support that interesting point with my really great quote. Getting that quote from my research notes into my outline is as easy as clicking and dragging. PERRLA is going to automatically insert whatever was created text-wise inside the note into the outline, and our citation is automatically going to be generated and follow along with us. Now, that's really cool because for me, I always worked with research notes as index cards and would have these mountains of index cards trying to sort together and put them into some kind of logical order, and then having to recreate or find those references again later on when I was writing. By doing this at the beginning with research notes, you're able to do it once and not have to do it again. So now let's come into the editor, and we're actually going to open up our outline. And I can see the outline that I created inside the Organize tab, or I could see the research notes that I created in the tab. And just like before, we want to take and use this really great quote. Fantastic. I'm going to click and drag it into the body of my paper. Just like it was before, it's going to add that text for me, and it's going to create the citation. Now, I know I need to move this period over, just like that. That's it. So I took, while I had the reference in front of me, doing my research, took it down in PERRLA, added its citation, had everything properly formatted. And from that point, I don't have to worry about the formatting or location or reference for that information ever again, because PERRLA is going to keep up with it for me. And that as I move through the different phases of writing my paper, it's available when I need to use it. Now, the last part of working with the paper is turning it in. And right now, I can't turn this in yet. But just like Google Docs or any other online Word editor, PERRLA allows you to download your paper as a Word document or a PDF. So there's two ways we can do this. We can either go to File, Download, just like we'd expect, or we can go to the Export Print tab. This is going to give us 3 different options to download our paper. So we can download a Word file, and that's going to work with the PERRLA for Word add-in and have the content controls exactly where they're supposed to be. We could download it as a PDF in case we just want it to be a static document, or we can download a simplified Word file. This is going to strip out all of the PERRLA parts and take out all of the content controls or anything else and just have a plain Word document. We're also able to print it. So if we need it in the library, we need to print it and slide it under the professor's door before midnight, we can do that from wherever we're at. The last option you have is you can actually email it as well. So PERRLA will take, you can put in the file name, so name your paper and the email address of where you want to send it and the format that you want. And then we'll send your paper as an attachment to an email, whether it's yours, your professors, or your friends for you. So I'm going to download this as a Word file. Let's see it download right here. And I'm going to open it up. And now I can see this is a perfect Word document with our title page. It's got our body, all of our headings, our citations are correct, and a reference section. And now if I want to keep working on it with PERRLA, all of that information is right here available to us. So the big difference with PERRLA Online is, one, you can access it from any internet-connected computer. So if you're at work, home, at library, even a cafe, you can work on your papers or add references or do research whenever you need. The other thing is that it also includes a number of other tools that can help you keep up with your schoolwork, like a calendar, classes to organize the things that you have to do, assignments, to-dos, and reminders, so that you know, ooh, I need to call my mom, and I can keep up with everything I've got. That is PERRLA Online. So every PERRLA subscription includes PERRLA for Word and PERRLA Online, and you can write papers however you are most comfortable. Now, coming back to our everything we're going to cover, the last thing we want to talk about, actually, here's the summary. In both PERRLA Online and PERRLA for Word, writing papers happens in 4 steps, at least the way I like to do it. First, you're going to create the paper. Then, you're going to add your references. Next, you're going to type the body and create the citations using PERRLA. The fourth, you can turn it in. Through the entire process, PERRLA is handling the APA and MLA formatting for you, so you don't have to worry about it at all. Now, what happens if you get stuck? You've got a question. You've got a really troublesome reference that you have no idea how it's supposed to go together. Well, we have a US-based customer support team that works 7 days a week until 10 p.m. Central Time, who is there when you need them to be able to answer these questions for you and help you through any problem that you get stuck with. We always start our support out with email. You can email them directly at support@perrla.com, or you can contact them through the PERRLA applications. If we find that it's a problem that is really thorny and that you need a little extra help, we're more than glad to pick up the phone and call you, or to do a remote with you on your computer so we can see what's going on and really dig into it. Now, if it's after 10 p.m. and you're really trying to crunch, we have a help center that includes tons of articles and videos and writing instructions at perrla.com. If you just go to PERRLA and then go to the help tab at the very top, or perrla.com/help, you'll find our help center. We really have poured a lot of energy into creating a lot of great documentation that can help you through a lot of sticky problems. We also have a whole section that walks you through the writing process. How do I create an outline? How do I know if a reference is a valuable reference or reputable? How do I put those things together? How do I do editing? How do I make sure that I've gotten all the things checked off that I need to check off? Every step of the writing process we talk about. And then we give you tutorials and information and articles to help with every part of using PERRLA. So at this point, we're going to kind of transition into a few questions so we have enough time. And we're going to start off with some of the questions that were submitted to us before we started the webinar.
Graysen, I got a quick question for you.
Yeah.
Did you touch on annotations with references?
No, but we do have a question about it.
Okay. And someone else wanted to know a little bit more about the content controls. I've been working on the chat rooms. I'm not sure if you talked
Fantastic. Great.
Go for it.
So we can talk about annotations right off the bat. Annotations, you can create annotations using PERRLA, and it works really simply. So I'm going to start off with PERRLA for Word. I'm going to come down to my reference section, and I'm going to say I need to add an annotation to this bomb reference. Well, I'm going to go to the BOM reference in PERRLA. There's a little more icon that's going to give you some secondary options. I'm going to click it, and I'm going to say add annotation. That's it. We're going to add a paragraph where you can start typing your annotation. Now, if this is a really long thing and it's going to wrap, we're also going to wrap it and do all of the formatting for you correctly so that your annotation follows APA and MLA rules to the T. So now let's say I need to add one for Billsley. I'm going to go Billsley, add annotation. That's it. It's there, ready for you to start typing, and it's going to follow the annotation formatting properly. Now, in PERRLA Online, you also are able to add annotations into your paper. So I'm going to come back to, this is one of the other papers that I have. I've got a lot of references in here, and I'm going to do something similar. References. In PERRLA Online, you have to add all of your annotations at the same time. So it's slightly different. So I can come to the References tab, and I'm going to click Add Annotations. And that's going to give me a place to start typing each of my annotations underneath my references. And then if you leave one blank, when you export that document, it just won't be there. So it's going to give you the space to create those annotations, and it will keep up with exactly what you've typed in there. And then if you've left them blank, then it's going to export a properly formatted document anyways. Great question about annotations.
Okay.
Another
other quick question that we've never talked about this before, but is there a way in Word where you can just do a wholesale strip all the content controls out? Or
Absolutely, yes. So content controls, as I mentioned, are the way that we help keep students from shooting themselves in the foot. However, we know that you may want to do something that falls outside of what the APA requires, or your professor may want you to do something that is unique to your class. Well, if you need to do that and you need to adjust the content that's inside of one of your content controls, Word gives you the ability to remove that content control specifically. So I can either choose to remove them one by right-clicking on it and choosing Remove Content Control, or if I need to remove all of the content controls from my whole paper, I can press Command A or Control A to select the whole thing, right-click, and remove content control. Now, if you do this, the one caveat that you really need to know about is that when you remove those content controls, it breaks that content's connection to the PERRLA application. So if I remove this content control from the Billsley citation, PERRLA is no longer going to know that that Billsley citation is there. So if I then go to add a new citation for it, if it had a different first and subsequent use, it may not create the correct version for that, because you've essentially made PERRLA blind to the content in your paper. So what we recommend...
This is something you'd only want to do
exactly
when you're finished.
That's exactly right. What we recommend is that if you have to make an adjustment outside of the APA formatting, whether it's adjusting your title page, adding an additional section in, making specific changes inside of content controls, do it at the end. Let your paper stay with the correct, proper APA formatting through the entire process, and then take and make those changes where you have to deviate at the end of your paper. It's often even a good idea to create a copy of your paper using File, Save As, before you make those changes. That way you have one version that you've made your custom changes to, and you have a second backup version where PERRLA still works. Great questions. Great questions. With that, I'm going to jump into some of these, and when we get to if we get to a duplicate, we'll keep on chugging. So this one came in from Dawn. She said, "My teacher wants a special title page. Can I customize it while using PERRLA?" Absolutely. So inside PERRLA for Word, our title page is going to use content controls for the individual elements of the title page. That way we can use the title page panel inside of PERRLA for Word to edit that content. We know that these things are connected. So if I need to add, say, a honor code statement, well, I'm going to need to add that at the bottom of my title page. So I place my cursor there. Currently, I'm inside of content control, so I'm going to press right on the arrow key once. And I'm just going to go down and say, this is not plagiarized. And I can make any customization I want. I can take and I can add in a new field here. I could take and say, Dr. Batson, TA is Dr. Sparkles. whatever I need. PERRLA is still going to be connected to the content controls because each item is there individually, and then I can make all these changes ad hoc however I need to. With PERRLA Online, you can't make those changes in PERRLA Online, but you can make them once you export or download your paper to the computer. Good question, Don. Next up, Vera. She asked, what's better for writing papers, PERRLA for Word or PERRLA Online? Well, they're both great for writing papers, and as we talked about, they're just different. PERRLA for Word is really meant for Microsoft Word, and if you feel really comfortable and feel pretty advanced in your paper writing, PERRLA for Word is a great option for you. PERRLA Online also is going to create perfect AP and MLA papers, but if you want something that's going to keep you inside of the guidelines, give you a few more features, PERRLA Online is a great resource as well. So we like to think that they're both great for writing papers, just depending on what you're looking for. All right, we put these two questions together because they have a related answer. Carrere asked, is it possible to add multiple citations together using PERRLA? And then Callaway asked, how does PERRLA handle references when there are two or more sources with the same name and year? These are great questions, and these are features that we're actually in the process of working on right now. Currently inside the PERRLA for Word and PERRLA Online applications, you're going to have to make those changes manually. However, we've got some really great super features set up that we're working on behind the scenes that we're hoping to be able to push out soon. They're going to allow you to create multiple citations within a single set of parentheses, and to be able to do those secondary crazy sorting rules where if you have multiple references with the same author part and same date part, putting in those A's and making sure that the citations have the full name and all the other little small things that APA requires. So we've got something in the works right now for both of these things. In the meantime, you're going to have to do that manually, and I can show you how really quickly. So for instance, Billsley. Let's say I need to cite Billsley and I need to cite, I think Baum was one of the other references that we used here. Or let's cite Fitter. So I've created my Billsley citation, and now I'm going to create a citation for Fitter in paragraph 5. Back to back, I'm going to highlight both of these, and I'm going to remove their content control. Now remember, this is going to separate them from PERRLA. So if I make an edit to the Baum or Fitter reference, PERRLA is not going to be able to update these citations. However, now they are unlocked. So I can delete the inner set of parentheses, add a semicolon and a space. And now we have a combined citation. The version of PERRLA that we're, the update.
Point out, hey, Graysen, I'd like to point out that this is something that I've been wanting us to do for a long time, and I'm so happy that Joey Dixon, our development guru, is working on this right now.
That's exactly right. A year ago, we moved, we made a complete rewrite, as Cliff mentioned earlier, to our PERRLA for Word application. And this and third-party lookup, being able to use those DOI and ISBN terms to search for a reference, are some of the features that we really wanted to put into the application for many years, but we're kind of hogtied by the limitations of the software. And so when we moved over to the new add-in, we made sure that we laid the groundwork so that we're going to be able to add these really awesome features that we know students want, but we haven't been able to deliver in a timely way. Absolutely. Great question, Cliff. Moving on. This came from Jacqueline. If I have a reference that's already formatted, can I add it to my reference section? Yes, you can. There's two things that you need to consider here. First, our third-party lookup makes it really simple and fast to create references. And if you use it, you know that your reference is properly formatted for the APA. But if you've got something that you don't want to look up or can't look up, and you know for a fact that it's properly formatted for APA, you can paste it into your reference section. The second part that you have to consider in that is that you need to make sure you paste it in the correct spot. Because you're pasting it in, PERRLA can't handle the alphabetizing for you. So I've got a reference here by Galifianakis, my encounter with the strange, that I know is formatted correctly and that I need to put into my paper. So I've copied it, and I'm going to come down here, and I know that it starts with a G. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Perfect. It's going to go right at the very end. So I'm placing my cursor at the end. I can see I'm inside of content control, which makes PERRLA know where that reference is. I'm going to press the right arrow key once to get out, and I'm going to press enter. This is going to create a new paragraph where I can insert a new reference. And I'm going to paste this in. Now, what you're going to notice is if I just paste this directly, it's going to pull over the fonts and styles like it did before. So that's not going to work. But what I can do is, this is the easiest way to do this. I can highlight this text. I can go up to text and heading styles, and I can say reference. Perfect. There you go. It's going to add and apply the proper reference formatting using Times New Roman 12-point font that APA recommends, and making sure that it has a hanging indent in it. And that, I can see that URL is not in Times New Roman. I'm going to fix that. I'm going to fix that, and we're going to get it fixed ASAP. Look at there. Perfect. The other thing that we can do is we also can take, and if I add a new line, I can do edit, paste, and match formatting, because this is set up for Times New Roman already. And that's also going to be the easier way to make sure that this is handled correctly, just like we did when we were pasting into the body. All right, moving on. Will PERRLA automatically adjust the capitalization for reference information found with the reference search feature? Great question, Cynthia. So let's say I'm going to search for a reference. Create a new reference, and I'm going to look up a reference that is just called Bigfoot. Well, there's going to be a lot of different journal articles and books that use Bigfoot as the title. So let's say that this Bigfoot book by Hal George Everts, published in 1973, is the one that I want to use. Well, I'm going to use this work, and it's going to take and fill in all my information for me. One of the things that I could have mentioned a second ago, but I'm glad we get to now, is that inside of the reference form, we offer help text underneath each of the fields that's going to give you a little information in case there's something that needs to be tweaked for APA's formatting. Now, we're going to take, for titles and places where there is capitalization, we're going to take a first pass at trying to make sure that those titles are properly capitalized for APA. But with nursing, we know there are a ton of medical definitions and names that are capitalized or lowercase that have no consistency whatsoever. And so it's always a really good idea to take and look through and review the information that's put in. Now, I know that this is Bigfoot, and I know that only capitalize the first word of the title and subtitle and any proper nouns. Well, there's only one word, so that's easy. But even if there was, say, the story of Bigfoot, Bigfoot's a proper noun, or it can be, and story is not, so it would be not capitalized. But we're going to do this on each of the fields that we offer here. So if you have an addition, we're going to give you some help about how the addition needs to be formatted. And then we also have some checks that run behind the scenes that as we create your reference, that we're formatting that correctly for you. Publishers, don't include business titles. We're also going to be doing some checks behind the scenes in case you miss something. DOIs or URLs, we're going to be handling that for you. So we're going to give you, for each of the reference types, help text that tells you a little bit more about what you may need to enter or may need to check to make sure that it's correct. Brenda, I hope we answered your question about annotations already. Andrew asked, can I search for scholarly articles with PERRLA? Technically, yes. You can search for articles using our look up a reference. However, it's going to pull back a lot of things, whether it's a children's book, whether it is a scientific journal article, or whether it's a romance fantasy novel about Bigfoot. If I search for Bigfoot, it's going to bring back a lot of stuff. So that's why we always recommend, it really works best if you take and you have a reference already. So I know this is Bigfoot by Everts. I can type that in and it's going to be more specific. Or if I have a DOI or a US ISBN, it's going to be able to nail down that reference right away. So while you could search for references using the look up a reference feature, we don't really recommend it. You're going to find a much better result using your library's resources that are available already. Well, you guys, this has been really fun for me. And it's been the first time that we've done this, and we want to thank everyone for turning out, for taking time out of your day to see how Perla works, get a little more information about some of these cool features that we're doing, what we're going to be doing and adding to it. If you have any questions, you can find out more information at our website, perrla.com, or you can reach out to our customer support team at support@perrla.com. Remember, they work every day until 10 p.m. and would love to answer any of the questions that you have for them. So thanks so much for tuning in. And Cliff, anything else?
Same thing. I've got people who are typing thank you, and Jen said that we were a magical unicorn. Perla was a magical unicorn.
That's awesome.
Which is awesome to hear. But thanks everybody for being so kind and watching this. And we'll be in touch. Keep watching the newsletter, and by all means, contact our customer support team. They work 7 days a week till 10 o'clock at night. And don't give up. If something's going on and frustrating you, don't give up. We're not going to give up on you. So we'll get you going again. So take care, and we'll see you later.